Hello and welcome to the Pop Council Podcast, the show where we cover everything in pop culture. Each week on this show, we discuss topics in the geek world, as well as various fandoms such as Disney, Marvel, DC, Star Wars, theme parks, and everything in between. I'm Jami, Philbrick, editor-in-chief of MoviePhone, and a member of the Hollywood Critics Association. We have a great show for you today. We will be discussing the Star Wars, the Acolyte cast that was just announced, who will be playing Wonder Man, Aubrey Plaza joining Agatha, Coven of Chaos, possibility of a Vision Quest series, as well as casting for the Batman Penguin HBO Max spinoff, Lupita Nyong'o joining the Quiet Place spinoff series, as well as some cancellations from HBO for Westworld and a renewal for the Sandman at Netflix. But it would not be a Pop Council podcast without my co-host, Wendy Lee. Hey, Wendy.
Hello to you on this rainy Monday morning in LA.
Rainy Monday in LA. And, you know, my family's back east, so I'm hearing about the 80 degrees weather that they're having in Boston, and everyone's so I'm like, why can't it? I'm coming home in December. I know it's not going to be like that then. Why can't it?
Yeah.
Why can't we have 80-degree Christmas? But how was your weekend?
The weekend was good. I just traveled back this past Thursday from Atlanta. I was there to see my favorite girl group, Korean K-pop group called Blackpink. And it was a good time, but I probably won't travel like this for a concert for a long time. I'm not going to say not ever, but for a long time, because the flying, because of the airline I picked, was a whole nightmare.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had some flying issues with the airline I chose to come home from my cousin's wedding a few weeks ago. 6-hour delay in Boston. So yeah, that's I know that that's never fun, but it's always fun. I've done a few travel trips just for concerts, mostly Grateful Dead, but I've done it, and so that is super fun. I actually got to go to Hollywood Forever at the Masonic Lodge Friday night and see Craig Finn, the lead singer of the Hold Steady, the other group I'm obsessed with. He's got a solo album out in a side project called the Uptown Controllers, and that was super fun Friday night as well. And then had a little work to do on Saturday, and then just tried to relax as much as I could over the weekend. So yeah, well, we've got some cool news stories. A lot of casting announcements happened late last week and even this morning. So we'll get to all of that. And we'll actually start with what just dropped this morning, which was the casting for the next Disney Plus Star Wars series, The Acolyte. And Star Wars fans will recognize that this will likely take place pre episode 1. So we'll actually get to see the Republic before the fall. And the casting, a lot of names joining this cast. We also have a photo here of on the set. Showrunner Leslie Headland, who directed the Bachelorette a few years ago with Rebel Wilson. She will direct the pilot, and we see her here with Amandla Steinberg and Lee Jung-jae. And the cast includes them, as well as Manny Jacinto, Daphne Keane, who you remember as X-23 from Logan, Jodie Turner-Smith, Rebecca Henderson, Charlie Barnett, Dean Charles Chapman, and Carrie-Anne Moss, Trinity from the Matrix series, moving on into the Star Wars franchise. So, Wendy, it's a pretty exciting cast. I think Star Wars fans are really excited about this series. It takes place in a part of the Star Wars timeline we've never really seen. We haven't seen a lot of live action from that. I think it's been mostly in, I want to say, animation and video games and comic books. So the idea of finally sort of exploring that area of the Star Wars timeline, I think, is exciting. And listen, this cast is great. I mean, you know, I love seeing Lee Jung-jae in here, and Daphne Keane, and Carrie-Anne Moss is a great actress. I got to imagine that she's going to be playing some sort of a mentor, or maybe a villain even. So what do you think about this cast and the fact that we now know this is happening. It is being shot as we speak, and it is full steam ahead.
I remember when they first released a bunch of titles for, a bunch of upcoming Star Wars, specifically for Disney Plus shows, and The Acolyte really captured my attention. I was like, ooh, that sounds interesting. And we, for the longest time, really didn't know, and especially the cast. So seeing this stellar cast is amazing. When we saw in the photo there with Amanda Seinberg and Lee Jong-jae, who everybody probably, American audiences will know for sure from Squid Game because he is the lead actor. So that's like really, really exciting that he's going to be a part of the Star Wars universe. And of course, Carrie-Anne Moss, who doesn't love her, and Daphne Keane, all grown up. From the last time I saw her in a project was, in Logan as X-23, as you had mentioned. So the cast makes me very excited for the show. And I like the premise of it, which reads, it's a mystery thriller that will take viewers into the galaxy of shadowy secrets and emerging dark side powers in the final days of the High Republic era. And then kind of going based off of what we're seeing in Andor so far. And I'm not saying it's going to be, kind of the same, but I am hoping that it'll dive into, because it's mystery thriller and shadowy secrets and emerging dark side power. That's giving me that sort of vibe that I also like what we're seeing in Andor, but like for the dark side. I think that's going to be one. It's something we hadn't really seen too much in detail played out in television before. So this is really exciting, and I'm just like crossing my fingers that it's going to be good. They started production today, so I am looking forward to it.
The idea that you just posed of it being sort of the birth of the dark side, I love that, right? The birth of the Empire kind of falling. And you sort of said in similar ways that that Andor is following the Rebellion's birth. But I have to just add that I may be the only person in the world that does not love Andor.
Oh, I don't think you're the only person.
Okay, because everyone I talk to,
rest assured.
Everyone I talk to is like, it's the best series ever. I'm like, are you watching the same thing I'm watching? So when you said, I hope it's like Andor, I got, I hope it's not like at least in that sense. But to be fair, I haven't seen the last couple of episodes, so I need to catch up. But I started watching, I think episode 5 or 6, and I just,
what is it about it that makes you
I'm bored,
having a hard time connecting to it?
I don't, and also I think I didn't connect to the Rogue One characters. Like Rogue One is not my favorite Star Wars movie like it is everybody else's. Like I find Rogue One to be, in some ways it was a story that didn't need to be told, right? And so it didn't really ever connect to it. So I'm not really connecting to the characters on Andor. But like I said, I do need to give it with the old college try one more time. But so this is exciting in the world of Star Wars. It still bothers me a little bit that it seems like Lucasfilm is concentrating on TV and not film.
A movie?
Yeah, since it is in their title, Lucasfilm. Do they have to change their name to Lucas TV? I don't know. But, it would be nice to have a Star Wars movie at some point in theaters, but I think we're going to have to continue to wait for that. So,
yeah.
Moving on to a lot of Marvel, a little bit of DC news, but we'll start with our friends over at Marvel. Disney Plus has found their Wonder Man for the new Wonder Man series that Destin, help me with the name.
Oh, Destin Daniel Cretton.
Daniel Cretton. I was missing the Daniel. I was like, I have Destin Cretton, but I don't have the who from Shang-Chi is directing, and they have found their. Do I have a picture? Oh, I must not have loaded a picture. Well, I'm gonna load the picture of the cover so you can see.
There you go.
Yeah, so there we go. Is Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, of course, Black Manta and Aquaman. This is a photo from him in Candyman remake. Apologies, I did not load this photo, but he will be the new Wonder Man for this series that will also see Ben Kingsley returning as Trevor Slattery. So Wonder Man's had a lot of different history in the comic books. He started off as sort of a Tony Stark villain and then very quickly became an Avenger. I forget the alter ego, but the alter ego was an actor. And so we've actually heard that there was at one point going to be a little cameo, and Nathan Fillion was going to play that role in sort of a, background shot in Guardians 2, which never came to be, which is good so that they can kind of start with a fresh slate with this and don't have to explain why there was another face that was that guy. And knowing that Trevor Slattery was an actor, I think
that's so funny.
That's a nice connection. It makes sense. I mean, obviously, Denton worked with him before on Shang-Chi and brought that character in, connections to Mandarin. I think it also makes a lot of sense to connect him to Wonder Man. So, Wendy, what do you think about this casting? And it looks like the Wonder Man series is going to be coming sooner than we thought, and I would imagine be somehow involved in the upcoming Phase 6 and the final Avenger movies of this saga. What do you think?
This is I gotta say, Wonder Man was not one of the characters that I had in my head.
He wasn't on your Marvel bingo?
No, but not at all. So if toss out that bingo card, it's trash now. But the casting is very exciting. Yahya Abdul-Mateen II is such a talented actor, super smart. We can all remember him as not just the Black Manta, but as Cal / Dr. Manhattan in the Watchmen series, and he was phenomenal in that, as he is in all of his other performances that we've seen him in. So he's just conquering, different universes. He's like, DC in my pocket, Marvel in my pocket, Candyman in my pocket, everything in his pocket. I am excited for that. I'm curious about how they're going to sort of what vibe they're going to have for this show, because I was looking at the work for the head writer, Andrew Guest, who's worked on Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Community, which is both comedy based. So I feel like, and that, that added with the addition of Ben Kingsley to the series, I think we're going to have ourselves some fun in this series.
Yeah, I mean, certainly there are comedic elements to the character from the comics, so that makes sense. We haven't really seen Yahya do that kind of work before. So as you mentioned, he's an amazing actor. So I'm sure he can do that. It'll be nice to see him in a lighter fare, per se. And also, I mean, we don't know how much Black Manta is going to be in Aquaman 2. I've heard that it's really a buddy, sort of like a midnight run between Aquaman and Orn, Patrick Wilson's character. So I don't know how much room there's going to be for development of Black Manta in that next DC movie, as well as, we know that there was at one point the Trench spinoff series or film that Juan was going to work on that was later revealed to be a Black Manta movie that's no longer going to be made. So I think it's a great choice for him to come over to Marvel. I'm sure, he's a big name. Much in the way Oscar Isaac was a big movie star name to kind of cast as a TV show star. So it makes me think, much like Moon Knight, we're going to see, it's a 1-season mini series launching into the character appearing in the film, as opposed to an ongoing series like we're going to see with Loki and maybe some of the others.
Yes.
I think it's a great move for him career-wise, to have his own vehicle. Even Candyman obviously was his, but it's a remake of a classic horror movie, and he's playing the villain, and so it's a little bit different than having like your own superhero franchise. So
I agree.
Super excited.
Do you feel like, we've talked about this on the show before, but this is all ramping up for something bigger, greater within the MCU? I just don't see them hiring, kind of like what you said about Oscar Isaac. You don't hire actors of this caliber just to keep them in TV and streaming specifically. I feel like they're going to eventually move Wonder Man and his character into the MCU.
And even if you look at the Marvel casting, I mean, like, obviously Robert Downey Jr. for the first one, big name, but then Evans, Hemsworth, Chris Pratt coming off of TV. Some of these other guys were not necessarily at the time big movie stars. Marvel made them. True. Marvel made them movie stars.
That's
I mean, you
true.
could even make a case. You could make a case for Paul Rudd and Brie Larson. Now, Brie had already won an Oscar, but she wasn't a major movie star in that sense. You know,
Right.
Kong didn't do it for her, right? Skull Island. And, you know, Paul Rudd was certainly a big comedic name, but not, you know, and so Marvel makes movie stars. And so when they cast someone who's already a movie star, like an Oscar Isaac, like a Mahershala Ali, like a Yahya, you know, it makes me think that there's a lot of plans for that character.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
I agree.
for Disney, if it was just going to be a Disney Plus show, they could have gotten, you know, someone without the resume of the actors that we're naming.
Right.
You know? So
yeah,
I definitely think there are big plans, and the idea that Destin's behind it tells me that there's a lot of big ideas for a role for one man in the MCU moving forward. So
yes.
Let's go to a little bit of other Disney Plus Marvel news. We've got some castings for Agatha, Coven of Chaos. Aubrey Plaza it hasn't been made official yet by Marvel, but they often do not. But Deadline and everyone else is reporting that she will have a role in the Agatha series, as well as Joe Locke, Orange is the New Black veterans, Ali An and Maria Dizia, and Emma Caulfield Ford will supposedly be back as Dottie from the
WandaVision
series. So I mean, listen, I love Aubrey Plaza.
Same.
That photo, that's from a movie she had out this year called Emily the Criminal, which is really, really good. It's such a good indie movie. And I hope gets at least some Spirit Award nominations. Probably not Oscar because it's such a small film, but I hope people go see it. She's really, really good in it. She's a great actress and like a really funny person. Like I love watching her on talk shows, just being herself. And so I think she brings a really cool vibe to this world. And then we're, you know, getting to see her and Catherine Hahn together. I believe Catherine Hahn had actually been on some episodes of Parks and Rec, but I don't believe they ever had scenes together on Parks and Recreation. I think
interesting.
Their characters were always kept separately. So so this will be the first time they work together. I love the idea of bringing Dottie back and having some connection to WandaVision. So you know, I think it's going to be interesting. I would imagine Aubrey's going to play a character that some comic book fans will be familiar with. What character that is yet, we don't know. But that's just my guess, is that you don't get an Aubrey Plaza just to play, you know, Joe Schmo. You're going to cast her to play an important Marvel character. So while all this news is still somewhat hypothetical and rumors, what do you think of these castings and these actors joining Catherine Hahn in this universe?
Well, just like you, I am also a fan of Aubrey Plaza. I think she's awesome. So a great addition to the show that we don't really know much about. But what I do know is that I love the heck out of Agatha and her theme song in WandaVision. So I can't wait. There's like speculation of like, is it going to basically start up from where Wanda left Agatha, which was in that little, you know, she did a little spell in her mind, or are we getting more of Agatha's origin? Not so much. I don't think we have to go as far back as what they already showed us in WandaVision. Like we don't need to revisit that, but how did these characters take place? And I think one of the reasons why I think we are going to go back to the town is because of Emma Caulfield. She's kind of like the anchor to that town to me. So I can see that, but I can also see Aubrey Plaza being like a fellow witch, because it says Coven of Chaos, and I think 3 witches make a coven. So I'm just really excited to see where the show is going to bring us, and I can always use more Catherine Hahn in my life.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I think both of your ideas there are probably right. Like, I think that the series will start with her still under the spell in Westfield.
Yeah.
What was it? Westfield?
I think it's Westfield, yeah.
Yeah. And I think quickly something will happen, and that's how we're going to see Dottie again. And then I think quickly the series will jump off and she will snap out of it. And I also think that you're right, and that we'll see a lot of flashbacks.
Yeah.
Maybe not to, the Salem witch days, like we saw, we sort of got that in WandaVision, but if Aubrey is playing another member of the Coven, we would need to get an introduction to her character and how she connects to Agatha. And so, yeah, I think all of that is in play and possible for the series. Also, let me note one other quick thing on the same sort of topic of WandaVision spinoffs. There is a rumor, again, not confirmed, but coming from our friends at the Hot Mic podcast.
Oh, yeah. Jeff.
Yes, that a Vision Quest series is in the works and is being developed, and that makes a lot of sense. I wasn't disappointed, but I did think that so much of Wanda's arc in Doctor Strange is I'm so crazy mad because you took Vision from me, my love. Well, yeah, he's alive, he's out there, that. I mean, but he doesn't have all the memories, but he's anyways. So I just feel like they left a huge thread hanging at the end of WandaVision with Vision. And so I was expecting at some point there would be a way to explore that. And I think that this series, it sounds like that's how they're going to do it. What do you think?
I feel like this is like the one question so many of us had after he bursted through that ceiling. We're like, wait, there's a lot to talk about. Don't leave.
Right.
And even from way back, in WandaVision, when we saw the, White Vision, essentially a lot of people started talking about West Coast Avengers. So I feel like we're lining that up. Everything is coming in play.
Isn't that a great thing that you just mentioned? Because we're seeing a lot of West Coast Avengers being introduced in this phase, right? So we know Wonder Man's coming. We've already seen, Hawkeye kind of move up, whether Jeremy Renner will come back or not, or if in the comics he was the leader of the West Coast Avengers. If they need to do that with Kate Bishop because Jeremy doesn't want to come back, or
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So there's a room there, but we've got Hawkeyes, She-Hulk, Ant-Man and the Wasp, right? So I don't think Shang-Chi was necessarily a West Coast Avenger, but I think he would fit.
Could be.
He certainly could be, and I think he would fit in quite well.
Yeah.
With what they've established in the MCU, and Miss Marvel as well, even though she's from Jersey.
Right.
So, I'll say I don't believe it's a coincidence that we see a lot of West Coast Avengers being introduced. I 100% agree with that. So let's move on to some DC TV news.
Actually, do you mind? Do we mind? There's a bit of breaking news. This broke maybe about 25 minutes ago. I will go ahead, since we're talking about so much casting.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and put this up here. This is Spider-Punk that we're looking at. So it looks like we have Academy Award winning Daniel Kaluuya is going to be voicing Spider-Punk, aka Hobie Brown, for Across the Spider-Verse.
In Across the Spider-Verse. Excellent.
Yes. So this is just really exciting. I'm sure you are as well, a huge fan of Daniel Kaluuya. So this I'm loving all these comic book IPs just collecting Academy Award winning actors like they're Pokemon. It's kind of great.
Yeah, no, it's great. He's great. I really liked Nope a lot.
Yes.
And missed him in another movie we can't talk about yet. But yeah, right. I did not see him there. And so I think it's great that moving from one Marvel franchise to another. I love it, and I think Spider-Punk's an interesting character to introduce in this one. So that's great. That's great news.
It'll be fun.
Yeah. So, and we were going to talk a little bit about the Penguin series. that we know is in the works, spinoff of the Batman, Matt Reeves' The Batman over at HBO Max. Obviously, you know, I think any DC show at HBO Max, it has to have a little asterisk next to it at this point because you know, just don't know. But it seems like anything spun off, certainly now that he's in charge of James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, and anything spun off of either Matt Reeves Batman or Todd Phillips Joker are safe and aren't going to be messed with. So we did get a casting for the Penguin series, which still does not have a title, but Cristin Milioti, I hope I said that correctly, is going to play Sophia Falcone, the daughter of Carmine Falcone, played by John Turturro in the Batman. Fans of Gotham will remember that the character was introduced on that series and had a large arc in the final seasons. I really liked the series, and of course I'm blanking on what it was called, but she had an HBO series that just got canceled.
It was a comedy.
Made for Love.
Oh, yes.
Right, Made for Love, which was good. And I like her a lot as an actress. So, and you know, that picture was from that show, but you can see like she looks like she's Sophia Falcone in that photo. So I think that she'll be able to, you know, be an interesting antagonist for the Penguin, and it'll be interesting to see where Colin Farrell. I love his performance as that character, and to see where they take that story. I would imagine it'll sort of be the in between to where the next Batman sequel picks up, right? It'll give them the opportunity to sort of prelude that, so you don't have to spend so much time kind of explaining in that movie how Penguin, you know, took over Falcone's business and became the Penguin. But what do you think about her joining the show and the progress, you know, of any DC show at this point?
I think if there's reports and there's movement, you know, casting, that means it's most likely continuing to get the green light and move forward, which is exciting because I really did like the Matt Reeves Batman a lot. And I really did like the portrayal of the Penguin in that movie a lot. So the fact that we're getting the show, that we're diving a little bit more into the mobster, the underbelly of Gotham, makes me excited for the show. And especially now with James Gunn sort of helming the whole thing, I feel like hopefully they let James Gunn do what they hire him to do and try not to meddle too much, that we can get some really good shows out of these. You know, we've seen what James Gunn did with the Peacemaker series. And I remember when they first announced it, I mean, I was excited for it, but I was like, Peacemaker, huh?
Yeah.
And everybody that I have talked to loves that show. We've talked about it plenty here on Pop Council. So that's exciting. And I hope that it continues to get the green light. I think I'm kind of over, you know, hearing about DC shows getting canned for like tax break reasons. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I do want to make something clear. It's my understanding that the only two DC properties James Gunn has no control over is Matt Reeves' The Batman and the Joker series. So I would have to imagine, based on that
so who handles
James
that?
Gunn,
Zaslav?
No, it's Pam Addy and somebody else. It's two other executives.
That's
so it's
interesting.
Executives at Warner Brothers who handle, this is my understanding, the executives at Warner Brothers that handle every non-DC film will still handle the Batman and the Joker. Because they're already set up, because those are separate universes.
Gotcha.
Right? That's a separate Batman universe and Todd Phillips' separate Joker universe. Safran and Gunn will overhead every other DC property, whether it's TV, film, animation, but they don't have they can play with Batman and Joker, but not Pattinson's Batman or Joaquin's Joker.
Got it. Interesting. Okay.
So I'm not sure, based on that, how much involvement James Gunn would have.
Probably not very much.
It sounded to me from the press releases like those are separate and they're moving on separately. then
Mm-hmm.
DCU, now the DCU, they got rid of the E, which is Henry Cavill and maybe Ben Affleck, maybe Michael Keaton. I don't, who knows? They got to figure all that out still too. But yeah, that's it. And then the other thing I just want to note, because you said that the fact that there's casting announcements makes you feel like this project is moving forward. But let's not forget, they cast Wonder Twins.
This is true.
So don't hold your breath.
This is true.
Cast something over at Warner Brothers. I would say that holds true everywhere at every other studio, but with Warner Brothers and DC, just because they cast actors, and I could be wrong, but I believe J.J. Abrams cast the John Constantine before his John Constantine got canceled because Keanu Reeves is coming back. I believe he cast an actor. Wow. I can't remember who it was, but I believe he did cast an actor. So,
and you're right; it's not a strange thing to get cast in something and then have the whole project just not go through. Like that's totally, it's not a new thing.
ask so, Mahershala Ali.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still holding my fingers that Blade happens, but
it'll happen.
It doesn't look good right now.
It'll happen.
it almost looks like Inhumans at this point, right?
No.
Like Marvel announces something and then it just disappears.
Oh gosh.
But hopefully that doesn't happen, because
I would like it to happen.
Want to see that. Just a couple other things we'll touch on real quickly. Our last bit of casting news is the amazing Lupita Nyong'o, Oscar-winning actress, who will be seen this Friday, I guess Thursday night, if you go to a preview, in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. So I think no coincidence with a big movie coming out that they took the opportunity to announce last week that she will star in A Quiet Place Day One, which is going to be the first spin-off series to John Krasinski's Quiet Place franchise. He is still, from the reports, planning to direct the third one, and this film the spinoff is based on a story or idea he had, but he is not going to be involved other than as an executive producer on the project. Pig director Michael Sarnowski will direct the film, which will star Lupita. So I'm not a big horror guy, and I don't know if it's fair to really call these movies horror necessarily, but they are scary films, certainly. And but I really enjoy them. Liked both 1 and 2. Liked the world that they set up. Liked the way they expanded the world in the second film.
Yes.
Obviously, Emily Blunt and the kids are, kind of. They're the attraction, right? Like they're really what we like about the movie, and won't be in this, but I think it gives them an opportunity. Lupita's a great actress. I can't wait to see like what type of character she's playing, what her situation's going to be in. One would imagine the title is Day One, that this will be day one of the alien attack.
Yeah.
Which we saw a little bit of in a flashback in part 2 with Krasinski's character. Mm-hmm. But I like the idea, it's sort of War of the Worlds. It's the idea of seeing different people in different, situations when this tragedy, but this event takes place. I just think it's ripe for a lot of stories. I hope that they don't go to the well too often with this franchise, like 3 in the regular series, 1 spinoff here, maybe a sequel to that, maybe another spinoff. Okay, but let's not get crazy. We don't need to see day one from different people, all these different characters' point of views. But
I see. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like okay. And then maybe if you do another spinoff, it's from later down the timeline or something, I wouldn't want to see the sort of the same thing over and over again.
Right.
I think a good model is maybe the Conjuring series, right?
Yeah.
And maybe we've had 1 or 2 many Annabelle movies, but maybe like, okay, a couple with the doll, a couple with this, and kind of keep it flowing as much as possible. But what do you think about her casting and the news that this spinoff is happening?
I mean, I love her. I love her in Us. I loved her in obviously Wakanda Forever, as well as Black Panther. So I liked her in Us, and that is like to me more horror than Quiet Place
Mm-hmm.
in a
Yes.
different in a different way. But she is a tremendous actor. And I am really curious about what they're gonna do with this day one film because, like you said, we already kind of saw a tidbit of day one, but we saw it from, there's perspective of the family in our lead, essentially in the movie. We haven't seen it from the rest of the town or even the other parts of the world. So it's not,
Right.
I don't know if we're set specifically in the same town as them or we're in a complete. I would like for them to be in a different place.
I would imagine it will be. I would
Yeah.
imagine, and listen, with her casting, it could be in another country. Doesn't have to be
Yeah.
in America, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that would be the most interesting. I agree with, and not that it would be bad if she's another person in the town,
Hmm.
but I agree. To me, it seems the natural evolution to this is happening the world over. Let's see where else in the world it's happening.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that a lot.
Me
Um,
too.
so
Looking forward
yeah,
to it. Did you see part? You saw part two. You
I
enjoyed
saw
it.
part two. Part two was the last film I did a junket for before the lockdown. I was in New York, and we were actually because we didn't. This was the Saturday before lockdown. No one really knew what was happening yet. People were
Right.
washing their hands, but that was about it. And we were literally told, "Don't shake hands with the actors." And
Did you have to put the mask on or no? This was
we
February
weren't.
then.
Yeah, we weren't at Matt. No, yeah, this is February 2020, or maybe early March. No.
So
It would have
not
been
yet.
earlier. Would have been early February. No, we weren't at masks yet. In fact, I remember people making fun of me for wearing a bandana around my face. I was like, I'm not taking any chances. I'm getting out of the city. So
Yeah.
yeah, so no, I saw it a year before it was ever
Oh my
released
gosh.
just because of the
Did
pandemic.
you
But
have to sit
really,
on that interview?
oh yeah, had to sit on everything when the lockdown happened. Oh
Just
yeah.
nothing was happening. Yeah, nothing was happening.
Yeah. It was about
Uh,
the time we started this. But yeah, no, I
wow.
think yeah, I think it would probably, and yeah, I think it's a good casting, and I just hope that they try to do something fresh with it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, same here.
So real quick, couple of announcements. We'll start with the good news, and then we'll end with the bad news. So good news for fans of the Sandman. The series been picked up for a second season over at
Yay!
Netflix. Yeah. It's really I love the series. I'll be honest, it's hit or miss. There are episodes that are fantastic. There are other episodes that are not. It's kind of an anthology series in a way,
Hmm.
more than a sort of a through story, kind of a narrative series, although there is a narrative there.
Hmm.
So, and that's kind of the way the graphic novels were. So I think it gives the series a great opportunity to kind of explore more stories from the comics and explore these characters without necessarily having to stick to, some kind of narrative or storyline that was set up. There's no big cliffhanger or anything, that we really
Right.
have to kind of, move on from. So I'm glad. I wasn't sure if they would do a second season. I knew it was popular, but just based on the material and all that. But Neil Gaiman seems really excited about doing that, and
Yeah.
I love the actors, so I'm really excited for another opportunity to see more of this. What do you think?
I mean, I just had a feeling that they would because I knew it was going to be popular. Like just by the fan anticipation alone. Um so I'm not really surprised at this at all. I think for us as fans of these type of IPs, these type of stories, we're so lucky. And also we're like lucky that it was executed really really well. Because there's nothing more disappointing as a fan where you're looking forward to, a series and you're like, "Yes, I can't wait to see this in real life." And then you watch it, you're like, "Okay."
Yeah.
So yeah. So this is great news and it's also I almost expected it.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't think I had thought about it. I don't know, for whatever reason, I was thinking that it was just sort of going to be a one-off miniseries, but I'm glad that they're going to do more. I am.
I hope, in that realm of just that theory, that, it very much gave a one-off sort of a vibe. So I hope that it's because they believe that they told a good story, and they did, and that they have a roadmap of where the next season will go, and it's not just a cash grab, because I feel like that's when you lose the magic of it.
Well,
you're telling it for good storytelling purposes versus just trying to cash in on extra money.
That's a good point, and I think we'll have to see, because I'm not sure if they had a plan for a second season. So
right,
you could be onto something there. Well, we're gonna wrap up with this little bit of news. I think disappointed some fans, but I don't know if anyone watched the most previous season, you should have known this was coming. Westworld has officially been canceled after 4 seasons by HBO. It was an amazing series. It was groundbreaking. I've heard a lot of people say, it jumped the shark, to use an old term, after the first season. I actually think it was strong through the second season.
I agree.
I think once that they got into the future and the third and the fourth, I think they just, especially the fourth, but even the third was pretty, I don't want to say bad, but not as good as the first 2 seasons. I think, as much as we were all interested in, like, oh, there are other parks, and what year is it, and where is what's it really going on the outside, and what is it like over in the the Samurai Park, or the other this park.
Yeah.
That park. I think that the show died when they left Westworld.
I agree.
When they when it started to become more interesting in other time periods or in other parks, I think that's when you lost the series. But those first, but I would say that those first 2 seasons, really as a whole, as one thing, is amazing.
Yeah.
And full arcs for Jeffrey Wright's character and all the characters through all of it. And then I think, and I love Aaron Paul, and it's not his fault, of course. And I think he did a good job on the show. But once they introduced his character, introducing a new character and introducing a new timeline, and I don't want to spoil anything if you haven't watched the third season yet, but actors that you recognize as one certain character now are playing different character. And for me, quite frankly, it was hard to keep track of, Tessa Thompson is now in that body, and this one's in that, but because they switched, it just got too confusing, I think.
It's a little too jumbled
after the second season. But what were your thoughts, Wendy? And I mean, did you expect this? I mean, I couldn't imagine they'd do a 5th season.
I kind of didn't. I just thought, even though for me, like as an audience member, I felt like I was less interested in. I mean, I still watched it, but I wasn't like, ooh, I can't wait to get on and watch this. It stopped becoming that for me, and I think season 3, probably about the same for you. But I thought it was still quite popular amongst fans, so I am a little bit surprised at this. I thought that they would get at least one more season, but the numbers, I guess they don't lie, or whatever may be happening over at HBO Max over there.
It's a couple things. I mean, it's a very expensive series, right? And I think that wasn't weighing against, how many people were watching it, what the ratings were, and then also that cast is really in demand. I mean,
yes.
that's not a cast of all TV actors who only have this one job. That's a cast
working
of multiple movie stars who work a lot and have huge other franchises. And so I got to imagine it'd be expensive to get Tessa Thompson to come back for another season. She's in demand, and even Evan and Jeffrey Wright, certainly. I mean, it just gets ridiculous. So I think it was the cost weighing against, sort of where everything was going. And I got to imagine Nolan has a big deal now with HBO. You know what I mean? That wasn't cheap to get him and Lisa Joy back to run it for another season. They make movies, they're making other shows. So I you know, it's sad because it really was a pop culture thing.
It really was.
It had its run, like it had a good run, but
yeah,
you know, I'll leave you with this. Let me ask you this, Wendy.
Sure.
Better to have sort of, you know, out of the gate, like, bam, amazing, and have like a solid couple of years and then sort of fade away like this did.
Mm-hmm.
Or better to be Game of Thrones and have 6 or 7 seasons, but have everyone hate the last year, the last 2 years, complain that there were 3 years in between season 4 and season 5. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
what in the long run is better if you're a producer or showrunner? Like, for your show, would you rather have a Westworld success and death or a Game of Thrones? Now, and Game of Thrones obviously got to go on to another, you know, another franchise. I mean, you could say the same for Sopranos. I don't know anyone that likes the ending of Sopranos. I mean, the biggest Sopranos fans despise the ending and complain about it. Yet that show, I mean, even as recently as a year ago, spawned a movie. So is it better to sort of come out strong and then fade away quickly, or come out strong and fade away slowly?
I would definitely pick the first option that you mentioned, because I feel like using the GOT example is, as much as like we got so many incredible seasons, so many cool scenes, like the Battle of the Bastards was amazing. As people still talk about that, but one of the first things that people talk about when you bring up GOT is, oh, that last season, and it just doesn't. That's what people's mind go to first, unfortunately, because it's the most recent. Right.
And the same with Sopranos. You mentioned Sopranos to anyone, the first thing they say is the ending.
Well, most people I talk to, they're like, oh,
what has it been, 15 years or something? I mean, it's been a while. People still talk about the ending, you know?
Yeah. Don't let it die.
Yeah. So, well, maybe this is what was best for Westworld in the long run. And we'll always have the first 2 seasons and then the third and fourth season to watch.
Absolutely.
And I gotta imagine they're going to continue to stream on HBO Max. So
yeah, for a while.
You'll have them there forever. So, well, that is it for us. Great show. We want to thank all of you for tuning in and remind you that we are just one of the shows on the Hollywood Critics Association's YouTube channel. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, like this video, and tune in to Pop Console every Monday at 11 a.m. Wendy, thanks again for a great show. Let everyone know where they can check out your work.
You can find me everywhere on the social platforms under this name here at Wendy Lee Szany. Instagram, TikTok is different. Just take out the Lee. It's just Wendy Szany there. And then on YouTube, of course, talking movies, trailer breakdowns, and more at The Movie Couple.
Was there already another Wendy Lee Szany on TikTok? Did someone?
Yes, it's also me. I just can't remember.
That's happened to me before. That's happened to me before. There's like 10 Philbrocks on something just because I couldn't remember all my Philbrocks. Speaking of which, you can check me out at Twitter or Instagram at Philbrock, and at my name on Facebook, and check out Movie Phone for all your showtimes, listings, reviews, movie news, interviews, and so much more. And we will see you all next week on the Council. Thanks for watching.
Bye.